Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976. Disclaimer, Section 107, under critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use. Yeah, Khan. Shalom, shalom. Yeah, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Ka'alayim, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, your Achwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson.
Lost right there. That's why y'all got to get in the debate course. So go over to Gorilla.tv and sign up for the debate course. Sign up for the debate course. I am Miss Benjamin. Great point. Great. No other male creatures. I am Miss Benjamin, just represent. But it doesn't matter if no other male creatures have long hair, because there's no animal that we are compared to as a nation more to than the lion. So the lion is really all I need, because the lion is what we are likened to. You see that? That's what we are likened to. So now we're going to keep going. So we've debunked that. Verse 15, but if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, like Yakira said earlier, verse 16 sums it all up. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither in the churches of God. So what he's saying is pretty simple. Pretty simple. If any man has a problem, hey, this just isn't our custom. This just isn't our custom. These are just the rules and regulations that he wanted to lay out there, right? So now, people do it, right? People are teaching that, going back to the Sister Michi question. So what Paul is doing there, big up to you, Malak, is he's laying down a law in his church. But when people don't understand that that's what's going on, they're now taking that and weaponizing it as if it's the word or the law of God, and it's not. It's just not the preference of particular leadership, which is fine if it's not. But like Contend for the Faith just said, saying it's a sin is crazy, especially like Yakira said, because you can go to you go to Samson, you go to Samuel, John the Baptist. These were people under the vow of the Nazarite, people with long hair, right? People with long hair, so that's not a problem. But Paul had his reasoning. I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh.
Yeah, so this is Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. It says, For do I now persuade men or God? Right? So this guy is up here looking to, you know, to, you know, like he's gonna persuade God to change what's ordained, right? You know, and it says, or do I seek to please men, right? See, and that's ultimately, you know, the overall thing, you know, with these guys, right? You know, you're trying to look, you know, educated. You're trying to get followers. You're trying to make money. You're trying to be seen, man. You really want to, you know, we knew this a long time ago. You just wanted to be famous, bro. And you had a certain level of fame and whatever, but it's never good enough, right? You go against your elders. You go against the men that taught you, right? You know? And you're still bucking up. You're literally teaching with a hat on, with long hair, like so you're doubling down on wickedness, and then you're going about trying to explain it away. For if I yet please men, see, and that's all. That's what you're doing. At the end of the day, you're yet pleasing men, and if it's just yourself, you're just a man. You're out to please yourself and to tell all these other long hair niggas it's okay to have long hair, and we just still going. You say the Most High. You say so we like the lion, bro. You know, that's all I need is the lion. You know, what's a lion without his mane? See, we could have long hair, right? You know, just, hey, man, complete wickedness, man. You, for if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Hamashiach. And that's what you are. You're not a servant of Hamashiach at the end of the day, because you're trying to please yourself and ultimately other men, other long hair men, right? And these wicked women, because you kept speaking of some chick that's supposed to be, you know, them women, they love long hair and bald heads, man. Right? The two wicked hair styles that the Lord hates. But a woman, they loved Tupac, bald head ass, Michael Jordan, right? They loved all these Bone Thug niggas, Snoop Dogg with all these long hair. They love the niggas with bald head and long hair, man. Right? That's just it. But what certify you? See, what the whole thing of what this is to certify you through the Spirit, and seeing you had the proper elders, man. But you want to buck up against the truth, right? It said, but I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached unto me is not after man. See, but the Apostle Paul's going off, bro. But a man didn't teach this to him, right? Yeah, he was a man of the Pharisees, and a great Pharisee taught him as far as, you know, the letter, the law, but they didn't teach him the Spirit. The Spirit didn't come by man, right? The Holy Spirit didn't come by man. The revelation that Yahushua is the Messiah didn't come by a man. The revelation of Esau, right? Because out of all the apostles, though the Apostle Paul is the least of the apostles, right? He'd be like the 13th apostle, right? He's the only one that had the revelation of Esau, right? He's the only one that brought out as it was written from Malachi. Any one of the it was already written. Any one of the apostles could have done it, but the Lord set forth the Spirit that the Apostle Paul be the Spirit that bring that out. Bring out those mysteries, right? That's why I say, but I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man, neither for I neither received it of a man, nor was I taught it, but by the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach. That's the only one who taught him, man. Yahushua taught him, right? Through the Spirit, right? The Lord was supping with him, right? In fact, if you go down, is it right here? Let me see, where's that? Yeah, this is it. It says neither went I up to Jerusalem. Just skipping down, trying to get to the point. Neither did I went up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles. So he's letting you know, I didn't go to the other apostles and get these breakdowns. The apostles didn't teach me this, right? You know, before men, right? Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went to Arabia and returned again unto Damascus, and that's where he got where was blinded for 3 days in Damascus, right? It says then after 3 years, so when he was blinded in Damascus, I forgot who they said come and pray for him, but the Lord sent a guy to pray for him to open up his eyes. So when he opened up, he stayed there for three more years. So then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem. See, after the 3 years, him in Damascus, then he, while he was taught by the Spirit, right? The revelation of Yahushua Mashiach, not by a man, through the Spirit of Yahushua Mashiach, not by a man, right? Though you want to say, hey, this is it's of no of importance. Yeah, he's just a guy who happens to be another teacher. Just he's just another guy who just happens to be teaching. So it's no big deal, right? Yeah, that's how he wants in his church, and there's a reason for that in his church, and that's fine. Well, before you were saying that he was going off, right? You said it's not a big deal, but he wasn't taught by the Spirit, by the Spirit of man. He was taught by the Spirit, right? Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? Says, yeah. Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter, right? And you know who Peter is. You understand who Peter is. You know that's David, right? And abode with him 15 days, right? And that's not enough to get a whole doctrine, which he already had it, right? The 3 years he was in Damascus, the Spirit of Yahushua was supping with him, man, right? And I believe it was the actual Spirit, because when he fell off the horse, he could hear the Lord speaking, and the other men couldn't. That's the Lord coming to him in his angelic power, man. So he was taught angelically, you know what I mean? Through the man, bro. It wasn't just oh, you know what I'm saying? Like it's no big deal, right? You know? It says, but others of the apostles, see, he's still saying, I never got these breakdowns from the apostles. Every breakdown I got is from Yahushua himself. That's why he's telling you. I went to go chill with Peter for a while, for about 15 days. And the other apostles, I didn't see them. Other apostles, others of the apostles saw I none, save James, the Lord's, which is Yahushua's brother, right? That's the only two apostles he's seen was James and Peter, and that's it. Other than that, he didn't see no other apostles. Nobody gave him any breakdowns. The revelations, and that was the revelation he's gotten, which even Peter says that are weighty, that men wrestle to their own destruction. Because he's saying, hey, these are heavy. Like he said, even I had to go back and kind of read through it. So I didn't. Oh, okay, and then because they're weighty. Even he said it's weighty, right? So those revelations wasn't got by man. So you can't just chalk that up like it's not a big deal. He got it literally through the spirit of Yahushua, man. Right? Yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians 11, right? So remember, we just read. He was taught by the Spirit, and which I believe the Lord was there, like really like there. The angelic form of Yahushua was there, supping with him, like on a whole different level, right? And then once we know that, it says what? This is there here it says Christian order, which we know the Christians are Israelites, right? And it saying what it says, be ye a follower of me. So this is the Apostle Paul, right? Mind you, we just read, be ye a follower of me, even as I also am of Hamashiach. Right? So he got taught by the Spirit directly. It didn't come by man. He didn't go to the apostles and get the breakdowns. Which, matter of fact, a lot of the breakdowns he got, the apostles wasn't even teaching. The other apostles, even though they're the head apostles, even he say that he's the least of the apostles. So he's not saying he's a big deal. He's just saying, look, I was taught this by Yahushua direct. So I'm gonna teach you how I was taught direct. Right? And it says, let's see, it says, now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things. Right? Yeah, okay. This is 1 Corinthians 11, starting at 1. It says Christian order, right? Which the real true Christians are Israelites, right? Which we're not saying that brother's not an Israelite. Of course he's an Israelite. But just the whole thing is repent and get in order, bro. And that's what this is all about. You're out of order when you're you're wearing your hat and you're trying to convince yourself, and I guess you're trying to convince a bunch of others, because you're trying to please yourself and please other men so they can have long hair, and these women, right? To have long hair, right? Which is completely against what I know it's not a so-called old tradition, but we seen and we read how just right now that the Apostle Paul was not taught by any man. It was directly through Yahushua, right? It says, but It says, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Hamashiach, right? Which is Yahweh Shai. He was taught directly through the Spirit. No man gave him this revelations. And he has higher and better revelations than the other apostles, which he said he never went and got the breakdowns from the apostles. I spent 15 days with Peter. I seen James, which is the Lord's, Yahweh Shai's brother, but I didn't get the breakdowns from them. And even the apostle, the head apostle, said that his letters are weighty, that men read them and wrestle to their own destruction. And that's pretty much what you're doing. But really, you could see it. You just have to be a rebellious child, man. Right? See, he says, imitate me as I imitate Hamashiach. Hey, man, that's heavy. Because if Yahweh Shai taught him in his angelic form, his perfection, why wouldn't I think his doctrine or what he has to say is to perfection? Right? Even if it's so-called what you would say outside of tradition, right? Outside of what they thought was, yeah. Well, I'll leave it like that. Tradition, right? Says now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things. See, because if you're emulating me, or following me as I'm a follower of Hamashiach, right? You remember the things I do, and you're gonna get correct. So, you know what I'm saying? Why would you want to do these things? You know what I mean? He didn't get any of the revelations through man, right? So why wouldn't you want to emulate what this man does, what he says? Because it's going to lead you to the righteous path. Even if it ain't of the old traditions, or even if you could go back and see other men that had long hair, right? Who give a damn? This man was literally taught through Yahweh Shai in his perfection. The apostles were taught by Yahweh Shai, and that was a perfection of a sort, right? But that flesh, it says of sinful flesh, even that got weak. He was sweating blood. How much more greater is it to be taught through Yahweh Shai in his perfection? And it shows because he laid down weightier matters. He laid down things that the other apostles didn't even talk about at all. Even they had to read his things and go, yeah. They had to get some education after reading. They had to draw from within to bring it out after reading his letters, man. Right? And that's just what it is, man. But that's why he said, remember ye me in all things. Because if you're emulating me or you're following me, you're doing what I do, saying how I say it, right? All things, and keep the ordinance as I delivered them to you, right? Just the way I'm saying this, do it. Right? I praise the appearance, you, because you remembered Slakia.
Appreciate.
There you go. And I shouldn't have did that. Okay, yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, starting at 1. Right there, you see it says Christian order, right? Which we know the true Christians are Israelites. So we're the whole thing is to get you Israelites in order and not out of order, not wearing hats and long hair, trying to make a trying to make an excuse, or trying to explain away, which is evident. It doesn't make sense. It's a bunch of stupid people, bro. Hey, it just don't make sense. You know what I mean? Which was just why the Lord said His people are shot as children, man. Right? It's just goddamn stupid, man. Right? And the more I'm starting to get pissed off, bro, because it's just stupid, man. Right? It's ordinance. It's just Israelite ordinance, right? Not Christian, right? Christian was a derogatory term that they had towards the Israelites. But regardless, we know what it is, right? It says, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Hamashiach," which we just read, that he was not taught by man. He did not go down to the apostles and get the breakdowns. He got it literally through the angelic power of Yahushua Mashiach. Straight revelation through Yahushua Mashiach. Wasn't taught by man, right? He couldn't go to the Pharisees because the Pharisees didn't have those breakdowns. That's just like you can't say you didn't get the breakdowns from the apostles of GMS because you couldn't go to a goddamn Christian church and get these breakdowns and then come out 3 years later and go, "Oh, I know what these breakdowns is. They're like this because I got this. I spent 3 years at this so-called Christian church." You're never gonna get the breakdowns like that. You're never gonna get a breakdown like how you get it from the apostles, right? You know, it says, "Imitate me as I imitate, Hamashiach, Yahushai," right? Or yeah, because when you're imitating or emulating, yes, imitate or emulate, right? So like emulate me as I emulate Hamashiach, right? So when you're doing these things, you're modeling yourself right behind it. You're like a child. That's why the Lord said, if you're not like these children, how can you get into a child emulates or imitates his father? He wants to walk like his father, talk like he wants to do these things. It says, "Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinance as I deliver them to you." Right? So these are the talkings, the sayings, the things, the mannerism, the way I walk, the way I talk. Copy it, follow it. Right? It says, "I praise and appreciate you because you remember me in everything, and you firmly held to the traditions, the substance of my instructions." Right? You gotta hold on. It says, "just as I had passed them on to you." So he's not alive now. So how is he passing on these things? The things that he learned of Yahushua Mashiach and not of man. He didn't go down and get any precepts from the other apostles. Though the apostles, even Peter, would say that anyone that reads his breakdowns wrestle with them to their own destruction. That it was weighty in itself when he was reading it. So that means he got some, what would you call education? It had to draw without that was within things that he didn't even understand or know. It was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's a new level of revelation. He was learning from reading the Apostle Paul, things that the apostles didn't get from Yahushua. But through the Spirit, through the angelic power, to the perfection, right, of the Spirit, the Apostle Paul, things were a lot more weightier, right? So when he's telling you this, says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach. So he says, remember this ordinance. Hey, I'm following Yahushua, which Yahushua taught me. No man taught me these breakdowns. Yahushua taught me this. Right? Which this guy was a fast learner because he really, he was a Pharisee. He got taught deep into the scriptures. So, and then I believe he knew like 2 or 3 languages. He was a very learned man. So when the Lord broke this down to him for the 3 years that he was teaching, hey man, it really increased his knowledge and what this thing is about. Right? It's not all about just hitting people over the head because the law says so, but then there's no compassion, there's no love, there's no long suffering, right? There's no patience, there's no looking at things as damn. I needed to get to a certain level of understanding, and it took me some time to get there. I'm not just gonna browbeat the brother until, because I know certain things take time, and it's all about judgment. You know what I mean? Not to say you don't get on brothers, but you it's a balance. But it says but I will have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of every woman is the man. Just common sense, right? It says, and the head, here you go, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High, Yahweh, right? Just common sense, man. Just What was I gonna do? Oh yeah. It says every man praying, here you go, or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Every man who prays or prophesied with something on his head. A hat is something. You know what I'm saying? With something on his head, dishonored his head, which is Hamashiach. So he's saying, look, these are the ordinance. I was taught by Yahushua personally. These are the ordinance. Remember them, follow them, emulate, follow, you know what I'm saying? Rinse and repeat. Do it again. Keep doing these things. Remember, as I have delivered these to you, which he's not here in person. So how was it delivered to you? Through the scripture. But you're trying to take the same scripture and manipulate it, right? It says, it says every man who prays or prophesied with something on his head dishonoreth dishonors his head and the one who is his head. Whew, wow.
Strong's G 2596. Kata. Kata.
Kata. Kata says down from, throughout, according to, towards, along. That's cover? That's crazy. Hey, fuck out of it. According, after, against,
Miscellaneous.
Yeah. Miscellaneous. Yeah. To say the least, right? Yeah. They didn't really give you a lot. That's crazy. Kata, down from, throughout, according to, towards, along. Right, that's supposed to be cover. Right? Covered. Oh yeah, dishonor, disgrace, to put to shame, make ashamed, to be ashamed, blush with shame, right? Well, he's not even blushing though. Right? What is it, Israel? You sin and you don't even blush, right? And that's crazy, right? So I didn't give you much recover, but you're putting your Hawashai to a shame. It's almost like and then you're doubling down with the hat and the long hair. Then you're tripling it, and then you're trying to preach that it's okay. Where is that? It says, but every woman that pray or prophesied with her head uncovered, right? Because that's why a woman's supposed to have her head covered when she prays, right? But every woman that pray or prophesied with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as she was shaven, right? So the Lord said that's like if she was just a bald head woman, right? Which is a shame for a woman to have a bald head, right? It says every woman who prays or prophesied when she has her head uncovered disgraces her head, for she is one that the same. Yeah, she is the. For she is one and the same as the woman whose head is shaved in dishonor. Right? Kind of get to where's what is that? Yeah. Yeah, let's get to this point right here. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, but the woman is the glory of the man, right? I'm trying to... I think it's coming up, man, right here somewhere. It's like, yeah. Yeah, see. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. Right? So cover your head, because your hair is for your covering. Right? But if you have your head uncovered, it doesn't mean because she got long hair, so that's the covering to itself. No, cover your head, because your head, it'd be like as if you're ashamed, you're shameful, and have your head cut bald. So cover your head. All right. Not to mention, like I said, it protects you from the sun. It's a lot of things, you know. You know, women wear those bonnets, but they don't even understand what they're wearing, what they're supposed to be wearing them for. You know, and so when you're laying in the bed, it doesn't pull your hair, like, you know what I mean. It's a way, because when you're rubbing your head when you're asleep, it's not, you know what I mean. So really, you're supposed to like braid your hair and then go to sleep. But it says, but if a man, here you go, but if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom. See, now this is where he was tripping at, right? If a man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of the power of the Most High, right? Okay, because he's trying to spin it, Mr. Spin Doctor. You know what I mean? It says now, if anyone is inclined to be contentious, right? Which means you want to argue, you want to fight about it, about this, right? We have no other practices in worship than this, nor do we do the churches of the Most High Yahweh in general, right? So it's not saying, oh, yeah, you know, it's just this church, but we know through the old tradition, this is not the custom of the, no, he said even in the other churches, you're not supposed to have long hair, because he is a Pharisee, right? So, you know, even if you went in there with the Pharisees with your hair all, they would get you up out of there, right? You know? See this word contentious.
Strong's G 5380. Philonikos.
Philonikos, right? Found of strife. See? You want to fight about it. And that's basically what you're doing. in a good sense.
Emulous.
Emulous. There's a couple other. Friend, to be friendly to one, wish him well. Wow. That's crazy. That's like the opposite of contentious. If you're trying to fight, victory. Utterly vanquish.
Vanquish.
Yeah, utterly vanquish. Yeah. See, that's not good. That's not a friend. Yeah, see, that's like contention. Utterly vanquish. Victory. Yeah, because that's someone just trying to destroy you, right? Trying to come against you, right? And that's contentious strife. You know what I mean? Fight. So that, and you got something against what he's saying. You can't have long hair. You can't have your head covered. That's the first thing he actually talked about, not even the long hair. The first thing he spoke about is having your head covered. And there you are with your head covered, also with long hair, and then based on what you're doing is contentious, right? You're fighting against it. We don't have a custom of you fighting against the ordinance of the Most High. This is how you be in order. He was directly taught from, and he's not just some guy who popped up and he's teaching of Yahweh Shai, and then you go, well, why should we follow you? This guy was taught directly from Yahweh Shai. This guy is an apostle. So if you follow him, you are following Yahweh Shai. If you follow these ordinances, you are following Yahweh Shai. So all them people that's listening to you, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. They're automatically not following Yahweh Shai. Right? Yeah, so this is Merriam's Dictionary, contentious. It says likely to cause disagreement or argument, right? See? And that's why it wasn't saying, oh, well, we don't have such a custom, so it's not a big deal, whether you know what I'm saying, you're going to argue. So any man getting ready to argue, have a disagreement or argue about the ordinance that I'm putting forth, that means you're following Yahweh Shai. When you follow these ordinance, if we don't have such a custom, because then you're going against Yahweh Shai. You're not really going against me. You're going against Yahweh Shai. This is the ordinance that the Lord told me. Right? Yeah. This is Numbers chapter 6, verse 9. If any man die very suddenly by him, right, which is talking about a Nazarite, right? You're supposed to have the Nazarite vow, right? Because that's what you keep talking about. You're a Nazarite. The Nazarite vow. If any man die suddenly by him, he have defiled his head of his yeah. So this is Numbers chapter 6, verse 9. It says, if any man die very suddenly by him, which is talk about a person who's on the Nazarite vow, right? You're the Nazarite, right? Chief priest, Grand Poobah, you're a thug, you're a chief priest Crip, right? Well, you always brag about the time you got shot, and oh yeah, the time I got shot, right? Peep this out. When you got shot, you went to the hospital, right? Do not people die in the hospital? Right? So in order for them to remove that bullet from your body, you went to the hospital. So when did you cut your hair? Right? You talk about you from the hood. Niggas get shot every day in the hood. Right? You don't cut your hair? Right? Women walk around on their moon cycle all the time. She could be on her cycle. She sat on the bus 3 or 4 stops before you got on the bus. You didn't know she was on the bus. You didn't even see her. But 3 or 4 stops back, she rode the bus on her cycle and got off. So you didn't know the woman was there or not. You get in, you sit down where she sat down at. You have no idea that this woman was there on her cycle. You didn't cut off your hair? Come on, bro. It just don't make sense. See? And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he have defiled his head, the head of his consecration, and he shall shave his head in the day of his cleaning, in the day of his cleaning, on the 7th day shall he shave it. Right? So you're constantly around filth, man. You're constantly around dead bodies. Right? Because that's the thing that dawned on me. You always brag about you being shot. Well, when you got shot, I'm pretty sure you went to the hospital. People die on a daily in the hospital. And you can't tell me, that just that day you went and nobody died. So you were around all sorts of dead bodies, not to mention, whatever. I don't know if you got taken in an ambulance or whatever the case may be, but someone could have had died previously in that ambulance. And when they called the ambulance for you, you have no idea that the man before you, they just take off that little sheet and they spray some little stuff, and supposedly that's supposed to desanitize it or sanitize it, shall I say, and clean it up, and they put another sheet over it, and then here you are, Mr. Thug, Crip guy, get shot, put an amulet, and you're laying on this thing that a dead body was just on. When did you shave your head? If a man dies very suddenly, right? Very suddenly, beside him, he defiled his dedicated head. Oh, he defiled his dedicated head. Then he shall shave his head on the day that he becomes ceremonially clean. He shall shave it on the 7th day the end of the purification period, right? So when did you do that, right? You had your Passover in a club, and the night before they had a shootout in the club, and some Jake died in the club, and you walk in with your long hair to do the Passover. Why didn't you do the ceremonial cleansing and shave off your head, man? It's all good. Yeah, with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to your sisters, you achwathim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. And the Baba Ball and Kwam Yasharallah. Baba Ball, Kwam Yasharallah. We got next.